Okay, hello and welcome along to EPL Weekly. My name's Joe Carter. This is the place to be on Sundays for a proper debrief of the EPL game week, including a look at fantasy football and some fun trivia to boot. Like and subscribe to this channel so you never miss a live stream. On this week's show, we take a look back at this slightly disjointed game week. We talk transfers, Roz's fantasy tips, and I want you to start thinking of Premier League players, lads, past and present, whose first and second names both begin with the same letter. That's going to be our 11 to finish the show. And if you're watching this stream and you've got any contributions or any suggestions, just comment in the live chat and we'll try and get through your questions if you have any. Alongside me today is a man who passionately loves Frank Lampard and Mus. Not loves Frank Lampard and Mus. There's someone who loves Frank Lampard and there's Mus. I couldn't think of anything better, Mus, sorry. How are we doing, chaps? I want you to tell our viewers a little bit about yourselves and tell me one thing you can't wait to talk about on today's EPLW.
Hi guys, I'm Ross and Millwall season ticket holder, but still a huge fan of the Premier League and looking forward to getting into how much I don't love Frank Lampard.
Mus?
Yeah, evening all. My name is Mus. I'm an Arsenal season ticket holder, and I am looking forward to talking about Aston Villa and what an amazing season they're having.
Okay, brilliant. There is one person who isn't with us this week, unfortunately. Matt, the Chelsea fan, is absent with a very good excuse. But in his place, he's issued a statement responding to Roz's comments about Lampard in the last episode. So we're going to go straight in. We're going to go straight in with Matt's statement. I've got it here. You might want to grab a pen and paper because you might want to take some notes here. So Matt says, I agree that Lampard is being protected from the same level of scrutiny as past managers because he is a club legend. I also don't like Chelsea's model of replacing managers as soon as things get rough. Chelsea's recent performances have been woeful, suggesting bad management, though I'm not sure Lampard is 100% to blame. I will concede that he's made mistakes. Bringing in so many new first-team players, especially from foreign leagues in such a short amount of time, creates instability, especially when last year's team was working so well. Those players need time to adjust to a new league as well as a new team and language. The Chelsea squad also lacks leaders. Quite a few of the key players are young. They're great talents, but when things go awry, their heads drop. A few established elder statesmen like Giroud can help them keep focused and determined. The inexperience of Lampard, coupled with the emphasis on the youth team, though, keeps them from being effective challengers for titles. In a few seasons, this could be a phenomenal team. Right now, they're just good players. So there's more of that statement. And we can... And we can address a bit more of those issues and we can hear a bit more of the statement when we come to talk about Chelsea in this week's episode. But is there anything you want to say immediately, Roz? That isn't swearing.
I think that's more concise and to the point than a lot of our government's statements the last 8 months.
You put your Lampard in, your Lampard out.
I don't know, sort of saying you're right, but no, I still hold my ground. I don't think Matt Lampard's man for the job, but I guess we'll go on to that later. But
yeah, fair enough.
I can see his points, but I think he's got his Chelsea blinkers on.
Yeah. Can I just say, Joe, I really hope that Matt posted that statement on his official Twitter account in your kind of generic corner flag picture official statement from Matt Douglas in defense of Lampard.
Oh mate, yeah. Well, I hope he did too. We'll see. Maybe he didn't want anyone to see it. He wanted me to surprise Roz with it today, so that's what we did.
I'm surprised. Yeah.
Look out for it. Look out for the full statement on Twitter. Well, I'll share the full statement to EPLW Pod's Twitter. Okay. Well, right. Should we get into the what we're here for? So we get straight into it. We're going to start with Liverpool Burnley. Now, do you remember the question I asked you last week, lads? Do you remember who will finish higher in the Prem this season, Liverpool or Man United? You all looked at me like I'd gone a bit crazy. Well, it looks as though I could be right. What do you make of that?
I stand by what I said last week.
Okay, fair enough. Mus?
I think that, okay, Of course, Liverpool have just lost to Man United in the FA Cup, but I still think there are calls for Ollie out like every 2 months, possibly less. I still think the chinks in Man United's armour aren't watertight, and I don't think they have enough to hold a consistent level until May. Whereas I think Liverpool are going for a bad patch of form, and class is permanent.
Fair enough. Mus, have you got anything to add to that before we get into the game?
Well, I'd just say in my defence, if you go back and listen to last week's episode, there's actually an audio fault where you didn't hear my response. So, but I'm going to be honest and put my hands up and say I did say Liverpool as well. I guess I underestimated how good a season Manchester United are having, and of course it's coloured by this evening's FA Cup results as well. The talent's always been there. It's just been a question of application and game plan. And I think it looks like they've improved on both of those counts. So there's no reason why they can't sustain it, I don't think. And I think Liverpool will bounce back, but I think they've probably given up enough ground for perhaps sustain it. So I'll stick.
There's certainly a
Liverpool
different
for now, but ask me again next week.
Almost 70 matches unbeaten at home in the league until Burnley come along and they did them 1-0 at Anfield. 7 hours without scoring in the Premier League, Liverpool. Their last goal was on the 27th of September in a 1-1 draw with Big Sam's West Brom at Anfield. Remember that? But I mean, let's not make it all about Liverpool. Burnley. Let's talk Burnley in that game. What did they do right, Ros?
I think they did the same things that they've done right for Sean Dyche, ex-Millwall man, just putting it in there, has done for a long time. What I find really interesting about Burnley, we were talking midweek about Frank Lampard, Chelsea's model, and how there's that kind of sticking with a manager or chop and change constantly. I was looking at Burnley's squad. There are only, I think, 2 players, Ben Mee and someone else that I've forgotten, who weren't actually signed by Sean Dyche, which is incredible in the modern game, if you think about it. Like, we were saying last week about, a new manager comes in and is lumbered with all these players that they don't necessarily know what to do with. With Burnley and Sean Dyche, he's handpicked these players, all they're from the youth academy, where they've been sort of brought up to play a certain way. And I think it really shows in performances. There were sort of relegation fears at the beginning of the season, but I think they have more than enough to stay up because they'll always give anyone a game.
But they always tend to start poorly. They tend to start an EPL season poorly, and then out of nowhere he seems to get them going again. And it really is a question of the manager, isn't it? Like, you give that set of players to another manager, maybe not going to achieve the same sort of success. Anything to add to that?
Sean Dyche for Chelsea.
Well, I'm not sure Abramovich would be too happy with that.
So I think Burnley, they're the definition of more than the sum of their parts. I think the manager gets every ounce of quality and ability out of the squad, and then kind of leverages that by drilling them to play like a unit, more cohesively than teams with other bigger talents in their side. And that's to their credit. They do have some quality as well. Watching them in the FA Cup this weekend, Jay Rodriguez pops up with a great goal, and he's a good player. Just maybe not, the piece that fits in that system as well as the other two, Barnes and Wood. So they just had the perfect game. Things went their way. They played deep, and Liverpool weren't able to break them down. It's not a unique game plan. Other clubs have tried that before and failed. So it's a combination of the two things. Liverpool had a bad day, they're in a bad run of form, and Burnley just played the perfect game. And they got lucky. Well, not lucky. It was a penalty, but they got that break and they put it away.
Yeah, fair enough. I think that's enough chat about that particular game. If you cast your mind back a bit further to Tuesday, Leicester beat Chelsea 2-0. The mighty marching on Leicester City. And well, this seems like an opportune moment to finish off Matt's statement. But before we do that, shall we have a little chat about the game? What I want to know, Mus, is our Leicester EPL title contenders again?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think this season you can't really write off anyone because of how unpredictable it is. But Jamie Vardy's injured, and I think with a team like Leicester, their first 11 could challenge, but they're disproportionately affected by any suspensions or absences, be it injuries or otherwise. From their starting 11, they are considerably weaker when Jose Perez or Kelechi Iheanacho have to fill in. So let's see how long Vardy's out for with that kind of recuperating from surgery. I think they won't be able to pull it off this season, just because Maddison's got this kind of ongoing issue with his knee, and he's kind of playing through the pain. Vardy was doing that for a while with his hip. So I don't think they have the same squad depth that, say, the two Manchester teams, Liverpool, maybe even Everton or Tottenham. So, I mean, they're a great team.
What about Arsenal?
No, I mean, Arsenal, they'll be lucky if they get the Europa League. And I say,
whoa, all right, okay.
Sorry.
We'll get onto Arsenal in a bit, but I'm going to finish off what Matt said. It pains me to say that Lampard may not be the best person for the job right now, but Chelsea may be running out of alternatives. Sarri's departure could be a sign of troubling trend in which managers use Chelsea as a stepping stone career-wise, making no worthy investment or commitment to the team. Chelsea need stability, they need direction, and someone to lead them. We want someone to build a legacy, not unlike that of Klopp's or Ferguson's. The only person willing to do that at the moment might just be Frank. It's most likely going to be a rough ride for a while, but we may have just been delaying the inevitable all this time. Thoughts on that, Roz?
I'd like to know what signs Lampard has shown that he can build a legacy in his management career. We were saying the other week, just the other day even, that it's very rare that a great player equals a great manager. You've got a handful of examples. I don't see how. I mean, I think Chelsea's a pretty poor stepping stone, to be honest. Just because you know that you're not going to get any time. Sure, you're going to get investment. But ultimately, they sacked Di Matteo after he won the Champions League. They're not afraid to sack anyone. I don't think that the only person on the market willing to build a legacy is Frank Lampard. I think that he's a club legend, which means the fans might stick by him. If we have fans in the stadiums, then, they wouldn't turn on a man like Frank Lampard as much as they did a man like Sarri. But to build a legacy, you need someone with, a good managerial acumen, I guess. I don't see what anyone sees in Frank Lampard in that. What signs are there?
Could the alternative option then must be the guy he was up against on Tuesday, Brendan Rodgers? Could he be the next Chelsea manager? Could he create a legacy for Chelsea? Could he work with the youth and with those star players they've got?
I mean, he could. He's one of the best managers in the league, and there's probably a question as to whether he would even go to Chelsea. He's probably in the middle of a great project with an upwardly mobile team. I disagree with some of what Roz is saying, just because I think Chelsea is no longer the club of, sacking their managers after a season or two when they don't meet their immediate short-term objectives. And I think that's, that there's probably a culture change there that needs to happen and a shift in the fans' mentality as well. But I just think we've seen Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at Manchester United, Hassan Hutel at Southampton, it does pay to be patient as well. And they don't need to be that same knee-jerk club. I don't think they can really afford to be that same club that fires managers every 8 to 10 months. So I think they should persist with Lampard. But I take on board what Roz has been saying.
Just a quick one on Brendan Rodgers, and whether he has got a project there, and it's clearly going very well for him. Whether it would be a step up or a step down to Chelsea is another thing. But he did walk out on Celtic to join Leicester, and he had a project there where he was guaranteed.
Well, I mean, he had a project.
About 14 trophies a season.
Did he won the treble there, didn't he?
I think, yeah.
I reckon,
I think it's the treble. Treble.
Do you reckon one day he came home from work at Celtic, said to his family, you know, how's it going? Like, they were like, oh yeah, how's work? And he just goes, Scottish football, mate, completed it. And he just thought, right, I need a new challenge, because I mean, he's completed Scottish football.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the point, Joe. That that project was fulfilled, and that, you know, there's no further you can take Celtic, really.
Yeah. I mean, it would get boring, wouldn't it? You know,
Sorry?
It would get boring. It's like, I mean, being manager of Celtic for over the last decade without a big competitor in Rangers. No disrespect to all of the other teams in the SPFL, but you know, it's like having the Bayern job, for example. You don't see managers staying in that job for very long. It gets, you know, it's like we know they're going to win the league every season. They're going for something a bit different. You haven't even got the Champions League at Celtic, really. It doesn't stand a chance. The standard isn't high enough. So
you know what I'm hearing, Joe? I think it sounds like Roz wants to present a spin-off SPFL weekly show. Could invite us onto that.
I'm half Scottish, but no, it is an interesting one. Just to kind of throw it out there. Neil Lennon, I know we're on a timescale. Neil Lennon, what level of Premier League club would he manage? Would he manage a Fulham? Would he manage a Leicester?
I don't know if he'd manage in the Premier League, personally.
Yeah, I mean,
I think he's a Championship manager at best.
Yeah, I mean, he has managed Bolton Wanderers, right, and didn't particularly leave a mark on them.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean,
one of the few people he's not left a mark on in his career.
Wait.
I'm on fire tonight, lads. Look, I'm going to have to move us on.
Great.
I'm going to have to move us on. Cast your minds back a bit further. This is the whole disjointed game week thing. Monday night. Now, Newcastle obviously struggling, but they went to the Emirates. As I said, they came to the Emirates. They tried, but Arsenal's young guns blew them away. 3-0 win for Arsenal on the night. And my first sort of point I want to ask you guys is Arsenal's young guns. Roz, what do you make of Arsenal's young guns? Who are they? Tell us who they are. Tell us what you like about them.
Incredible. So you've got Emil Smith-Rowe, real talent. Bakary Saka, who for me is just...
Bukayo.
Yes, I'm thinking of Bakary Saka. Bukayo Saka even is unreal. I think we talk about these kind of English youngsters that are up and coming and who excites you. You've got your Trent Alexander-Arnold, you've got your Mason Mounts. I think Saka's as exciting as any of them. And what he's shown over the last season and a half or so is his versatility. He was unreal at left back. He played well in a sort of number 10 role. And he absolutely kills it on the wing. Emil Smith-Rowe, brilliant talent. And you've also got Martinelli, who I find frustrating at times.
He still looks a bit plagued by that injury, doesn't he, Martinelli? He was out for so long, and it seems to be affecting him mentally. But there's a player in there somewhere. It happens so often at Arsenal. I've watched this for years, and
I think you've hit the nail on the head with the injury. Is that he's sort of playing as if everything might end his career, and every time he gets a tackle, he stays down probably longer than he should. He's being very cautious, which you don't want. You want someone to kind of go out there and give their all, but obviously it's going to mentally affect you if you've had an injury that keeps you out for months.
Yeah. Well, so they are the young guns. I mean, essentially it's those three, isn't it? Saka, Smith Rowe, Martinelli. They look good. So hopefully, long may it continue. Mus, shoe on the other foot now. I know you're not a Newcastle fan, or as far as I know you're not. Maybe you're a closet Newcastle fan or something. But put yourself in the shoes of a Newcastle fan for me and just tell me how you're feeling right now about Steve Bruce in particular, but about the general club situation as well.
Yeah, I mean, if I were a Newcastle fan, fortunately I'm not, although I love the city and the fans, but I'd be down in the dumps. They're awful beyond redemption. They've been stinking out the place for the past couple of months. I think, on the Sky commentary yesterday when they were playing Aston Villa, or one of the co-commentators or a pundit summarised it perfectly by saying, the fans hate the owner, the manager, and the team right now, and that's not a good place to be. I kind of feel a little bit sorry for Steve Bruce in that he was put in a impossible position, and I think the COVID knockback has really affected them. They look a lot better when Ryan Fraser and Alan Saint-Maximin are playing, and obviously they weren't against Arsenal. So yeah, I would, if I were a Newcastle fan, I'd see, unfortunately, no light at the end of the tunnel. They're not going to improve until Mike Ashley sells. That's what makes it even harder, because over the summer they had that hope.
Yeah, I mean, you might even be tempted to jump ship and support another team, eh?
I mean, Sunderland's Sunderland are only down the road, Joe.
And we just lost all the Newcastle fans. Okay, never mind.
Hey.
Right, never mind. Okay, last point on that one, a very quick one. Roz, I'll come to you. Aubameyang's back. He's back on track. Please tell me he is.
I'll point you to the Gary Lineker tweet where I can't remember the last game that he scored, but he had a drought before that game, scored a goal, and Gary Lineker sort of very boldly tweeted, he'll go on a goal run now. He'll start backing them in. This class is permanent and form is temporary.
Okay.
And it didn't happen. Apart from there was an own goal that he scored. Burnley, actually. Yes, hopefully for Arsenal. Since that contract, he's been a fifth player that we know he can be.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, fair enough. Talking of Twitter as well, if you are watching this and you want to keep up to date with when we're on and what we're doing and see some generally hilarious memes and videos going around, Roz is our Twitter expert. He's setting up the Twitter. What's the Twitter handle, Roz? EPLW Pod? Is that it?
I'll tell you in a sec. It is EPLW Pod.
Yeah, fresh account. Go and follow it. Okay, so that brings us on to kind of other talking points. They're the kind of main games we're looking at. But Villa looking strong again, aren't they? After a tough run of games, which saw them play a few big teams in a row. Obviously, they had that COVID outbreak, but they managed to sort things out a bit. I mean, given it was against Newcastle United last night at home to Newcastle. But where do you see Villa going this season? What's their aspirations and what will they achieve, Mus?
I mean, yeah, so I think they can finish in the top six, which would be a great, step up from where they were last season, surviving by a point on the last day of the season. They've got a great team, but also a good squad. Martinez in goal has been terrific and a great addition to the team. Bertrand Traore has also given them a new kind of dimension up front, along with Ollie Watkins, who is another great addition. So, and then they're just entertaining. They're people. You get all these football hipsters talking about Leeds United and Bielsa, and there's a reason for that. But I actually
why are they football hipsters? What's wrong with Leeds' Bielsa's Leeds?
I count us amongst the football hipsters. I mean, look at my backdrops.
Listen, Leeds are great. Leeds are a breath of fresh air in the Premier League.
Leeds are fantastic. Take nothing away from Leeds, but
apart from the fact that they can't defend, save their lives.
Well, yeah, I mean that's kind of where I was going at this point. That Leeds are entertaining, but not entertaining in their effectiveness. Whereas Aston Villa are actually a great team to watch, easy on the eye, but defensively they're solid. Tyrone Mings. Sorry, guys.
Aston Villa have also won more European trophies than Leeds and don't go on about how they should be in Europe every effing season. But anyway,
I think we have our topic for Ross Rand's Leeds United. Overrated?
they're the
Mark.
most deluded fans on the planet and the most overrated club in the Premier League this season. No strong feelings about it.
Well, well, there you go. Well, in my personal opinion, you know, much like Arsene Wenger would say, your football team's there to entertain you. You know, you don't pay your season ticket money, you don't pay for your tickets to sit and watch, you know, 11, sit behind the ball and grind out a 0-0. You want to see entertainment, and that's the best Leeds can do, isn't it? It's the best they can do is attack.
Robbie Williams FC. Let me entertain. Sorry.
It worked better when you explained it.
Yeah.
I was thinking, feel,
Cheers.
Angels, which one of his hits is he?
Is it an old take that number? It only takes a minute, girl. No, all right, okay. Lastly, before we give out the old classified check, Rowan, did Paul Pogba, did he or did he not save Man United the other night against Fulham?
Oh, he definitely did.
He dug out a worldie.
He on his left foot as well, which he was quick to remind the interviewer of. Unreal goal. And definitely got them out of a sticky patch, kept that momentum up. Paul Pogba's an unreal player. We all can see it. It's that he picks and chooses when to play.
Yeah.
It's the fact that he seems to have no qualms about having an agent who is constantly stirring up at really seemingly opportune moments, such as the night before they could make the Champions League round of 16 or fall out of the Champions League, and he decides to drop a statement saying that Paul Pogba was unhappy at the club. For me, Paul Pogba, you know, that's his agent. He either needs to publicly denounce his agent there or stick with him. And then, for me, Man United need to get rid of him if that's the scenario, because you can't have that going on. But
Clearly,
he's a world-class player. Man United would be sad to lose him, but I think if you get
I don't know. I feel like
anything in excess of 50 million for him, I would take it. And
Yeah,
invest
well,
in areas that you need it more.
there's an argument to be had that, you know, like, do you remember when Henry left Arsenal? I remember the rest of the team kind of looked a bit freer. Like, Henry was this magnificent talent in the team. Obviously, he was doing bits for Arsenal. Pogba's not doing much for United until it's contract talks or whatever. But do you feel like actually it might free them up a bit when they don't have the pressure of having to play Pogba, and they can work their system around the likes of Bruno Fernandes? Mus, what do you think, Mus?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a different type of pressure. I feel like if he's not in the team, they have less of a defensive liability. Kind of this is before his recent upsurge. So I think that, you know, they can be more solid at the back with the alternatives, McTominay, Matic, and then just everything can go through Fernandes. And that's what they were kind of doing the back end of last season, start of this one. And that seems perhaps the competition, perhaps it's the last year of the contract talks, whatever it is. But Pogba's back in form, and as long as he's in form, they need to find a place for him in the team.
Cool. Okay, lads. Roz, I feel like you want to say more on that, but I'm going to have to move it along, I'm afraid. Watch out for another episode of another extra episode during the week in case, well, we've got Leeds and Pogba to talk about. But what I'm going to do now is just run through the results from that last game week, see if I can do a better job than last week. Okay. Arsenal 3, Newcastle United 0, Leicester City 2, Chelsea 0, West Ham United 2, West Bromwich Albion 1, Fulham 1, Manchester United 2, Manchester City 2, Aston Villa 0, Leeds United and Southampton postponed, Liverpool 0, Burnley 1, Aston Villa 2, Newcastle United 0. Okay, I did it. I got to the end of it without any mistakes. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's time now to talk Fantasy Premier League. And the man who needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway. 135 points, was it, this week? You're ridiculous.
Yep.
Tell us about it. Come on.
Yeah, played my bench boost and actually dropped points. I took a gamble. I I made 3 more transfers than I should have, dropped 12 points. But the transfers that I made, I knew were going to get me points. And one of them was John Stones, who bagged me 20 something.
John Stone's your vice captain.
Yeah, I should have made him captain. I should have been ballsier. It's almost worse that I made him vice. Right, fantasy this week. Let me just get my notes up. So, Man City, I think, are the team to follow. In their upcoming games, they've got West Bromwich Albion, Sheffield United, and Burnley. And I was saying about defence last week, I think that defence is the way to go. I think John Stones and Ruben Diaz have been phenomenal. But actually, just now, in the FA Cup against Cheltenham, he started Aymeric Laporte, who everyone sort of rates as one of the greatest sort of central defenders in the game today. I bet he didn't see his career going to sort of being the sub-defender behind John Stones and Ruben Diaz.
Yeah.
Playing in the weekend against Cheltenham.
Turning out at Wadden Road. I used to live on Wadden Road. Just throwing that in there. I used to live opposite there. Yeah.
But I think Stones and Diaz would be good ones to put in just because the Port has started that game, so you can clearly tell that Pep is saving them for the league week. Pep's probably the least popular person amongst fantasy football fans, just because he is the absolute master of rotation. And you think that De Bruyne's dead set to start, so you put him captain, and then he, doesn't start him, or you think Aguero's in form and then he doesn't play a striker. But I think we're fairly odds on for Diaz and Stones to both start. So I would go for that. As Mus said earlier in the show, Jamie Vardy is out with a hernia, I think.
Yeah.
Brendan Rodgers says that he could be out for weeks. There's no actual no number on that, but I think that if anyone has Jamie Vardy, it'd be good to take him out because he's quite a bit of money, which you could invest elsewhere. In the unlikely circumstance that you have any Sheffield United players, because they've been pretty abysmal this season, but if anyone does, take them out now. In their next 4 games, they've got Manchester City, Manchester United, and Chelsea. So on the off chance that you had them, now's probably a good chance to take them out.
Time to clear them out. Awesome. Also, actually, I think I noticed that De Bruyne's injured now as well, isn't he? Is that right?
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Yeah.
Right. I should have done more research. Call me out there.
I only know because I had him captain. Well, there you go. You dug me out for putting De Bruyne captain, so no, it's all fun and games. Anyway, right, okay. That's our fantasy football checkup this week. Let's talk transfers quickly. We've got about 5 minutes left of today's show, so we're going to buzz through a few transfers, and then we're going to get onto our Premier League 11, alliterative 11s. Okay, so transfer chat. Wolves have got a new striker. His name is Willian José, and they got him from the mighty, the fantastic El Sociedad. I didn't rehearse this. It's Real Sociedad.
Can I just say, the viewers might not realise that Joe's our resident Real Sociedad expert.
I mean, expert is generous. I'm a fan. I've been to see them play a couple of times, and sort of go and visit San Sebastian from time to time. But they're getting a good deal there. Willian Jose for between 17 and 19 million, I think the reported fee is. But yeah, he's a big, powerful player, and he could do it. He could do well. He comes in fits and starts at Sociedad, but this is a big move for him, and hopefully it steps up to the plate. And aren't Wolves in need of a striker right now?
Yeah, particularly one that can speak Portuguese. Always good for
them. Arsenal. I'm not sure if it's been confirmed yet, Odegaard, but
it's looking likely.
As good as done. And Matt Ryan, Aussie's number 1, Australia's number 1. What's
a weird
he?
one, that, isn't it?
Yeah, what's he
They've
doing?
just signed Runar Runarsson, and they've clearly decided that signing him a second choice after they lost Martinez to Villa, that he's not up to it, and they need another number 2.
Yeah,
He must feel in the dumps right now.
yeah, it can't be great to be Runarsson right now, but yeah, he should provide strong competition for Leno, shouldn't he, Mus?
Yeah, definitely, and I think that's what they need. I think anyone that saw the Man City game in the Carabao Cup with Runarsson in goal will know why Ryan's been brought in.
Yeah. Okay, and lastly, in terms of transfer news, Chelsea have let go a couple of players. Fikayo Tomori, who Rowan was talking up a lot last week, as well, and in our additional episode, a Chelsea episode, he's gone to Milan, and Danny Drinkwater has gone to Kasımpaşa in Turkey. I noticed you've got a Turkish shirt behind you there, Mus. Is that Besiktas?
That's right, that's Besiktas, and I think you'll find it's pronounced Kasımpaşa, Joe, but it's fine. I won't call you out.
My bad. How
Good.
ignorant of me.
Danny, stay hydrated, has found his level. Yeah, good luck to him.
Did you just call him Danny Stay Hydrated?
That's what he's known as.
That is amazing. That is amazing. That's it from now on. If I ever call him anything other than Danny Stay Hydrated, you tell me off, right? Okay. As usual, we're running out of time. We're into stoppage time now. It's time to do our Premier League alliterative 11. So I asked you at the top of the show, can you think of any Premier League players, past or present, whose first name and surname begin with the same letter? E.g., Rowan, do you want to give us one? Ros, do you want to give us one?
Shall I go? Well, I've got a full 11 here.
Oh, go on then.
Casey Keller, Millwall legend.
Nice.
Victor Valdez, played a bit in the Premier League, didn't his best form. David Heyer, Jussi Jaskalainen, 4 goalkeepers.
Are they all keepers? Oh.
They're all keepers, so you probably only want to play one keeper. Such is tradition in modern day football. Didier Drogba up front, Lucas Leiber midfield, Virgil van Dijk.
Nice. Okay, let's give Mus a chance to put a few in there. Mus?
Yeah.
I'll just say one. Stairs leading up to the bedrooms, Dion Dublin.
Hey.
And there's your stairs leading up to bedrooms. Yeah, Dion Dublin, great shout. Okay, that concludes this week's EPLW. Remember to like and subscribe, stay in touch with us, and make sure you watch next week. It's goodbye from me, it's goodbye from Ros, goodbye from Mus. We'll see you next time, people.
Yeah.